Welcome to section 6.7, and we're going to learn, we're doing some stuff with functions in the last section, and so now we're going to learn about what's called like the inverse of a function. Some of this will be, again, learning the different notation, understanding that, and then a little bit different style of math. Along the way, we're actually going to learn about the youngest and oldest person you're allowed to date. Amazingly, there actually is a math formula for this. So if you just like Google search, what's the youngest person you can date, you'll find this little math formula that's kind of, I don't know, I've heard of it before. And so we're going to use that to talk about what the youngest and oldest person you're allowed to date. So get down our goal. Our goal is to find the inverse of a function, or technically a relation, and they're pretty much the same. There's one minor little difference. Okay, so for our definition of inverse function is the opposite of the original function. Okay, and it's going to be denoted with f minus 1. So it looks like an exponent, but it really just means the inverse. All right, so pause the video, jot this stuff down. And then I think a really good thing here is just to write at least one example. So if f of x was defined as just 2 times x, we would say f minus 1, or the inverse of that. So basically, you can kind of think in your head, what is the opposite of that? Okay, and hopefully you would realize just be dividing the input by 2. All right, similarly, we can make a new function called g of x and have that be x plus 4. And so you could take a guess, right? What do you think g minus 1 of x would be? Okay, and hopefully you'd realize it's the opposite of adding 4, so just minus 4. Okay, and so these inverses we could almost figure out just mentally, because that's not, it's pretty straightforward to figure it out. But on a harder one, let's say we had m of x equals something like 2x squared minus 7. That's going to be harder to figure out exactly what the inverse is, so we're going to have this process for finding the inverse instead of just doing it mentally like we did here. All right, so to find the inverse, we'll do one that's not in function notation to start, and then we'll later do a function notation one. But because they're opposite, the process is you just switch around the x and y, and then resolve it for y. Okay, so this is my original function right here. And then to find the inverse, the opposite of that, and you could even take a guess, right? Like if you had to guess, hopefully you'd guess your inverse is going to involve minusing 8 and dividing by 2. But to figure out the order and all of that, we're going to start by this process. So we're going to flip those around. Flip around the y and x. That's step 1. And then now we want to get y alone again. So we're going to go minus 8 to get rid of the plus 8. 2 times y, so we're going to divide by 2 and divide that entire side by 2. So our inverse is y equals x minus 8 divided by 2. Okay, so kind of makes sense. Original one multiplied with 2 and added 8. Our inverse minuses 8 and then divides by 2. Right, but it is important to do those steps, right? Because even though you'd recognize you need a minus 8 and divide 2, some of you might have, without doing the process, might have written that, right? Which actually wouldn't be right. So, the basically do this process to find the inverse, and it should usually go pretty okay. Okay, so to do one in function notation, so our goal is to find the inverse. What you want to do is actually start by, instead of having f of x, rewrite it with x and y, right? Because when you find the inverse, it's a little bit easier to do it in the non-function notation. All right, so pause the video and see if you can find the inverse at this point. So we do our 2 steps. So we're going to flip around y and x first. So we get x equals y squared minus 1. Solve this for y, so add 1. And then take the square root of both sides. So you get square root of x plus 1 equals y. And oftentimes they'll put a plus minus here because when you do the square root, you have both plus and minus answer. If you forget that, not the end of the world. Okay, so if you want to get really fancy then, if our original function is f of x, then we'd say the inverse of that, f minus 1 of x, is equal to the square root, plus or minus plus or minus the square root of x plus 1. Right, and that would be the fancy answer. Realistically, either one of these is fine, but the very bottom one is very fancy. All right, so this is a pretty challenging question, but in this lesson, they'll talk about either functions or relations. All right, and so technically this last thing, this f minus 1 of x, they consider that a relation and not a function. Any ideas why? If you write your answer on the back of a Wheaties box from 1924 and mail it to me, I'll send you a $7 bill in return. Okay, so there's this rule about function that for each input, there can be only one output. And so the square root function is not considered a function, it's considered a relation because you kind of this two answer part. So if we dive into this a little more, if I took an input output table, in order to be a function, to be truly be a function, each time you put in a number x, like 4, you can only get one output, like 2. So here, square root it, and we could do like 9 and then square root that to get 3. But the problem is for each input, there's actually two outputs here, right? Because if you input 4 and take the square root, you could also get -2. And for 9, you could also get -3. So this doesn't qualify as a function because each input should have just one single output. And that's not the case here. Okay, so that's why they sometimes call this like the relation or instead of a function. Okay, and there's definitely ways around this. So oftentimes what they'll do is they'll limit the range, the outputs, and they'll say that those have to be like greater than or equal to 0, so that we basically say we're not going to look at these negative outputs. So they have ways around it, but in general, if they ask you in this lesson, like, is it a function or not? If it's got the square root without any limit on the range or anything like that, then the answer is no, it's not a function. They just call it a relation instead. Okay, so that's why you see this word relation sometimes instead of function. But the main part, if you didn't get that last thing, it's not super critical. The main part is to know how to find the inverse. So let's try one more example here. Pause the video and see if you can figure it out. All right, so we're going to rewrite it with the y notation first. So instead of f of x, I'm going to write y. And then our process for finding the inverse flips y and x around. So we'd have x here and then root y minus 2. And now I want to resolve it so that y is alone. And I'm going to start by squaring to get rid of the square root. I get x squared. That's why this kind of is in this chapter, because this chapter is about radicals and then like the opposite of that, which is squaring. Okay, and then add 2 to both sides. Okay, and that's it. That's our inverse, our opposite function. And again, if you want to write it in the fancy notation, we'd say f minus 1 of x is equal to x squared plus 2. If f of x is this, then its inverse is that. All right, so getting into this dating deal. So again, if you don't believe me, Google a math age dating equation or something, you'll find this. So basically, here's an example of a couple. This is Ashton Kutcher and this is Demi Moore. And when they got married, I'll look up their ages for you quick here. Okay, so I did a little Googling here, and it looks like Demi Moore was 40 and Ashton Kutcher was 25. At least when they met, it said. So 15-year difference between the two of them. I'm assuming that's about when they got married. Okay, so at any rate, the formula for figuring out like the minimum age is you take the age divided by 2 plus 7. So you could kind of think like at Demi's age, she was 40. So 40 divided by 2 would be 20 plus 7 would be 27. So the youngest person she could marry is 27, meaning she kind of violated the rule a little bit because Kutcher was only 25. And you could try it for yourself. So pause the video, see what's the minimum age or person you could date. Right, and it should work out pretty well. Like if you're 16, if you divide that by 2, you get 8, add 7. So that if you're 16, the min would be 15. right? If you were, say, let's say you were 17, so we divide that by 2 and add 7. So that would be, what would that be? That'd be 15.5. So 15 and a half if you're 17. So it seems to work pretty decent to give you a rough range. Okay, but I always wondered then, like, what's the max, right? So, for me, at the time of this video, I think I'm about 39. And so the youngest person for me, my wife is about 6 years younger than me, but I think I still fit the formula. Actually, let's do it when I met my wife. When I met my wife, I think it was like 37. And so the youngest I could date was, let's see, that'd be 18 and a half, so it'd be 25 and a half or something like that. And so she was about like 31 when I met her. So I was within the safe range according to the formula. I checked just to make sure. All right, but at any rate, I always wondered, like, what's the oldest then? Like, if this is the formula for finding the youngest second date, what's the oldest person? And I thought, oh, this is exact example of an inverse, right? If this is the min function, we want to know what is the max function, right? Which would be the inverse. So pause the video and see if you can find the max function. All right, so the min function, if you wrote it with y and x instead of age and min there, would look like this. All right, and then to find the inverse, I would flip the y and the x so that we get x here and y there, and then resolve that for y. So I would start by minusing 2, minusing 7, and then multiply by 2 to cancel out that divide 2. So we get y equals, if I distribute on this side, 2x minus 14. So written in the other way, we'd say the max age you can date is double your age minus 14. Right? So again, you can kind of try it for yourself, right? If you are 16, then that would be 32 minus 14, which would be 18. And so if you're 16, the max you could date is 18. Right? So kind of an interesting use of an inverse function. Right? But that's your max function, the person you can date. Okay, so this certainly isn't the main focus of this lesson. Being able to find the inverse is, but they're going to talk a little bit about graphing the function and its inverse. And the next section gets into graphing, so this will be kind of a good lead into that. So we have a square function here. So actually, this would be good time for you to pause it and see if you can figure out how to graph this original function. Okay, so hopefully you remember the squared function is just the parabola shape. If you had completely forgot that, you could always type this in your calculator to see what it looks like. And we're just going to shift it right 2 and down 4. So right 2 down 4. And then I'm going to draw my same parabola shape there. All right, so then in order to do the inverse function and graph that, I got to find the inverse. So I'm going to flip the y and the x like we've been doing all lesson long. Okay, and then add 4 to both sides. Okay, and at this point, every year students are always tempted to want to write it as 2y minus 2's and then square it, which is right. But if our goal is to solve for y, it's going to be easier to actually just take the square root of both sides at this point. So that this side becomes root x plus 4, and then the square cancels out over there, and then it becomes a much easier problem for solving for y. All right, so don't FOIL there. Our final step then is to add 2. So we'll have a 2 outside of the square root symbol. All right, so to graph this, for today, you could just type it in your calculator, it'd be just fine. But the next lesson, we're going to learn that the square root function is actually kind of like the parabola turned sideways shape. And then this one would just actually be shifted left 4 and up 2. So left 4, up 2. And then I would draw that same sort of sideways parabola shape. Okay, but we'll dive into this a lot more deeply in the next lesson. This one, kind of interesting, the inverse functions are just a reflection of the original function across the line y equals x. So I think that's part of what they wanted to cover in this lesson, but that's just the basics of the graphing. Again, we'll get into it more in the next lesson. All right, thank you for watching.